To join us right now from somewhere around the world. Somewhere around the world, it's Mike from around the world.
Pastor Paul, God bless you.
There you are. How you doing, Mike? How you doing tonight?
Doing good, doing good.
Oh, I don't know if you had a chance to watch any of that interview with Rabbi Jonathan Cahn.
I did. I caught a piece of it.
Pretty exciting information.
Oh yeah, yeah, it is.
Matter of
It most
fact,
certainly is.
Mike, if I was to ask you in today's world now,
Oh,
what? What would you
go ahead.
say? What would you say is going on when you take a look at Iran and they had this myopic obsession with destroying Israel and destroying Jerusalem? Is this the final showdown before the soon coming of Jesus Christ? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there, Mike. Where are we in this?
Well, Pastor Paul, we have a big formation with Iran that spreads all the way to Iraq, Syria, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, of course. Parts of Egypt are being infected. You have an establishment that's rising everywhere now, right? All
Yep.
because of Iran. And powers are being raised. And we will see repercussions from that. So we're not looking at just Iranian power now. It's a very difficult scene for people to wrap their heads around. But nevertheless, it is a situation of reality we're going to have to deal with. You have all these individuals who have placed their souls into the cause of Iran, right? Which,
Yep.
by the
Yep.
way, is a much deeper cause. You can I just hope I see the formation of something. I don't really like, I never did like it, but it's coming nonetheless,
A new
right? A
formation.
showdown is coming. Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
see a showdown. You see a new formation. Is it an alliance being built, or what is it you're
A
seeing?
big one. It's a big one. It's a Middle Eastern alliance. It's a formidable alliance. And it will begin to consume just about everything. It will, I think it will absorb the ideologies of any of the remaining nations in the Middle East because it's spreading too fast. It's almost unfightable, if you will.
You're talking about a combination of ideologies coming together in some kind of unholy alliance.
Yeah, this is turning against the Islamic world, you could say,
Wow.
and the Christian world, period, point blank.
Wow. So is it the rise of communism again? Or is it
Well,
the caliphate?
that would be, if it were just communism, right? Which, by the way, has been defeated so many times and it's been cut off from its power. I think that um, Jonathan Kahn made a good point. Communism has been severed from the majority of its throne power. I'll say it's spiritual power, right? It still
Yep.
spreads,
Yep.
it's still growing, but it's cut off from the source. But there is some other information dealing with that well, it's just not good
Well,
information.
let's
Nevertheless, it's information.
let's
It
can you break some of that out? What do you mean?
well, yeah, yeah. There's some things that, well, we all know here in America, right? That when the Germans came here to America,
Yep.
um, we know the boom we had, right,
Yes.
with
Yes.
space. We know that the rockets carried the names of some deities,
Oh boy.
correct?
Yep.
We know that. We know that the Smithsonian, America period, with the statue of from a designer who modeled that after Zeus,
Yep.
a hidden statue of Zeus. But what they don't know is that it was endowed with something. Something is inside that statue, and it was taken to the Smithsonian, but consequently, where everything else is taken,
There's some kind of
right?
statue. Wait a minute. So you're saying there's a statue that has been taken to the Smithsonian Institute. Then inside the statue, there's something in there.
Yeah, the statue of um, George Washington
Yes.
sitting on a seat with it. There's something inside there, right? That's actually um,
Whoa.
that was designed by an individual who's motives are,
Not
well,
pure, not pure.
no. And there's something inside there. So it was moved because it was controversial. It was moved as a shirtless um, statue. Um, and
Okay.
it was sitting right there in the rotunda in 1841. In fact, you could add those dates to the list of dates Jonathan Kahn had
Okay.
and begin to see quite a bit. But the authority of Lucifer, right, is separated from his, well, I can't say separated. Let's just say he has his throne, right?
Right.
And Lucifer himself would be the power. So think of something. Think of something. What if his power was the actual seat of power in physical form, right?
Okay.
The strongest seat of power in the world right now is America. So that
So,
means the White
whoa,
House would be the place of power to obtain, to finish his kingdom here on earth, correct?
that's true. That's true.
Okay. So you have elements of his authority in this nation, and the dodos won't get rid of it. There are pieces of his throne in America, right? When it was boxed up and shipped all over the place, boxes are missing. It wasn't totally assembled.
So
And one of the
some of it.
piece, one of the throne pieces is a replica with the rest of it, but the original piece was brought here to America.
So we
So
got a
we have
piece of
a,
it.
yes, we do.
And I'm
We
looking
have a
at the
piece of it
statue. Now
here.
I'm looking at the statue of 1841 right now of George Washington, a shirtless George Washington holding a cross
Uh-huh.
upside down as he's sitting there. You're telling me that used to sit in the US Capitol in the
Yes,
rotunda?
yes, yes.
What in the world?
See, that's a missing story, isn't it?
Yeah, it
That's
is.
just a missing story, and it means a lot because some things were happening here in this nation, and it's still here today. I believe it's one of the major causes of some of the hatred, the sheer hatred we've seen in this nation,
Dear Lord, help
right?
us.
We have a hatred in this nation
Yes, we do.
that no other nation has. No other nation can get angrier than America.
You're
That's a
right.
fact.
You're right.
That's a fact. And if you look at it, we have more bloodshed in this nation than others do.
That's true. You're unveiling some stuff. We're not innocent in this thing. I'm
No,
saying as a
no.
nation. I'm not saying individual
As a
people.
nation, as a
Right.
nation. So the power seat, to obtain the power seat of America, right, is the finishing piece for a very dark kingdom in the world, right? So I would say it surpasses Marxism. It surpasses communism. It surpasses all of that's going to turn into something else. I believe that communism is just an entry point, an ideology that's being utilized to set up the components
Of a new
of this
world
throne,
order.
right?
Yeah. I
But
mean,
the seat, the power seat, the command seat,
right.
that's why America is established. Even our Statue of Liberty is not about the Statue of Liberty,
Okay. Let's talk about that.
right? See, because as a nation, we cannot, we made a mistake. We embraced idols of
Yeah.
all types
Yeah,
in
we
this
did.
nation.
Yeah, we
Now, it
did.
didn't matter what we turn it into, symbols of freedom, whatever people are saying, they're still idols and they're worshiped as such, right? They're worshiped as such.
Yep.
And that allows a door to be opened. That door can't shut so long as people worship this stuff, right? And
Mm,
God is not going to be mocked. We can't, if he said to have no engraven images,
right.
right? Then
Right.
why do we have them?
It's a
There's
direct.
no, no,
It's a direct disobedience to the word
it
of
is.
God.
It is, but it's covered up through a type of something bound in nationalism, right?
You're right.
And so this is the way we live. Now, it may not mean anything to the average person, but it affects all of us here in this nation.
Amen.
It's almost like a disease that spreads that nobody can get rid of. Even in people's lives, there's always a component of something that rises from season to season,
Well,
and they don't know how to get rid of it.
Mike, just this week, Massachusetts embraced the Baphomet The statue of the Baphomet. It's now with little children admiring Lucifer. And we're seeing that kind of stuff being. So once you start something that's against the Word of God, you if you're not careful, you're opening up many different types of statues and images that can lead to even darker and darker things.
Yeah, we did. And one of the major points is that the power head of Germany, right, came here.
Yes.
Hitler, and what was in Hitler, I believe, was dispersed. And the others around Hitler, they came here.
Yes, they did. An
So
Operation
you
Paperclip.
could say it left Hitler and came here. And they were specifically, it'd be one thing if they were all scientists. They were
Right.
not all scientists.
No.
Two of them were high priests, right, of the cult they had in Germany.
Dear God,
Brought
have
here.
mercy.
And here and we've been wrestling with this ever since. So
it's been spread, and hasn't it? I mean, so what your point is, it didn't just go with Germany straight to Stalin. It spread throughout the European Union. It spread into Rome. It spread into America. It spread all over the world. I mean, that's kind of what Lucifer's doing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Pastor Paul, when I was in Europe in outside of Würzburg, Giebelstadt, Germany, there were churches after churches with upside down crosses in this place.
What? Where was this at? Where were you?
Würzburg. That's Würzburg. We're right Würzburg. Mainz-Gestell had them too. All these places in Germany. I was at a kind of a secret base in Giebelstadt, Germany.
Okay.
And all the churches in Würzburg, a lot of the churches had upside down crosses. A lot of them had these tombs built into the base of the churches with these with pieces, relics found from, of all places, Pergamum.
Oh.
Right? In the bases of all these churches. You're talking about a lot of churches, right?
So this
has
been
going on. So the curse is all over the place.
Oh. Mike from around the world just made a statement here that is profound. The curse is all over the place. Yeah, that is Satan's plan. He is the god of this world. He's the prince of the power of the air. He's the ruler of darkness. And so we're really in a spiritual war. I mean, if there was ever, and nations are in a spiritual war within themselves, right, Mike?
And the sad part is, the more the nations war, the more they lose, right? Think of it this way: Satan is the opposite of our Father, right?
Yes.
The Father's in fact, the message of the Father is so simple, anybody can understand it. A lot of people fight against it. I do not agree with Lucifer, right? No. And the number one thing Lucifer will have a person do is always have an enemy. That's what Lucifer does. That's what Hitler did. Did he not? He took in a whole people. He said, These people are the enemy. They're vermin. You have to get rid of them. When he was speaking about the Jews.
Yep.
So then everybody who is touched by Lucifer has an enemy. For Christians can never allow Satan to allow them to have an enemy, right? In the Bible, it says, love your enemy.
Yeah, it does.
That's what it says.
Yes, it does.
Now, the average person will look at that and say, well, that's just ridiculous. We need to conquer and defeat our enemy. No, we're here to overcome these works. Jesus came to destroy the works
of darkness. That's right.
Right. If we follow Christ, then we destroy the works of darkness, because we have become the lights in this world, operating by the power of Christ through the Holy Spirit. So we've been empowered to destroy the works of the devil.
Amen.
Instead of doing that, a lot of people have opted to have an enemy. So one of the first things Christians, because it's going to be a big standoff, Christians should never have an enemy. That's
great
something
point.
All of us have to work
great
on.
Point.
We cannot have an enemy, because if we have an enemy, don't we agree with the devil himself?
Yeah, we're doing the same thing the devil's doing. We're
right.
dividing among ourselves, fighting.
That's how darkness is spreading.
Yeah.
That's how it's spreading, because we will not lay down our egos and pride, things of that nature, and not have an enemy. We have opted for the blueprint of the world that says you must have an enemy, because the world grows through conquering, right? That's how they've grown. No matter how much they talk, it's always come down to a fight. That's what Lucifer
It's
does.
been going on since the beginning of time, basically, is men conquering one another and enslaving one another and genocidal attacks on one another. We've been
That's right.
watching
So
that,
so how
forever.
can we not be a part of that? Even that nobody is innocent from that, and so a time of correction is coming first to the church. Judgment starts in the house of God, and once the church is secured, well, the world's getting what's coming to it. It's not coming to the world first, coming to us first. I believe that's why a lot of people are facing different things. I believe it's fine tuning us, right? We're starting to see it because things are biting us back that we shouldn't be a part of, right? Consequently, a lot of people lately, they've been confessing that they've been thinking about old habits. This is happening all over the place.
Mm, mm.
So Christians have to really start to see this world seriously. Not only, this war with Iran represents a minor piece of a much larger battle that is soon to take place, and no one is exempt from that one. No one. This
Let's.
whole world is going to be topsy turvy.
How do you see with the rise of Iran and the coalition that they're building with some other nations? Uh, how do you see this thing coming to a head? Because I don't see it ending tomorrow.
No, that's why I called it the 20-year war.
Yeah, you did. Yes, you
Yeah,
did.
and because I knew it wouldn't be over the next days. That's Iran. Historically, anybody who has ever gone against Iran, right, messed up their own country. They did. Russia, they went against Iran, and they messed up their own country. Iraq went against Iran, messed up their own country.
Yeah.
The USA had dealings with Iran. We were messed up over that. That bad things happened to us. It's almost like anybody who touches Iran is cursed.
Yeah.
Right, like a curse falls upon them.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying we have to seal up the breaches, because Iran right now, and the ideology of Iran, you'd be surprised how many nations are sympathetic to this
Oh.
ideology of Iran.
Oh.
They no longer see Sunni and Shia either. They're not thinking about Sunni and
No.
Shia. They're not thinking about the differences in those beliefs. They're thinking about the Islamic world and the Christian world.
That's unifying Islam. Now you and I know that the Shiites and the Sunnis are miles apart in
Yep,
their ideologies
yep,
and their approach, but the world is embracing or lumping them together, and then what that does, that brings Islam against Christianity,
yep.
and against Israel and the Jews. I mean, but this is what we're seeing, this standoff, right, with
That's right.
America fighting Iran on behalf of the Jewish people, and that's really what's going on. We have now
That opened the door.
that opened the door. We've become the
Yep,
target. You agree?
yep, yeah. And they are. I've never seen. They are voluntarily working together, Sunni and Shia.
That's crazy.
But, yeah, they're voluntarily working. They're communicating all throughout the Middle East. Um,
How does Turkey
I
fit in?
just nothing is going to stop that rise. One of the cautions I have is this: as far as technology, missile launches, and things of that nature, we're going to see some compromises in nations who have Islamic roots. Now I'm going to point out something, Jordan, right? Jordan
Okay.
is the academic center of Islam for the Middle East. They're not going to be on our side, right?
No.
We're going to see a bit of betrayal there. You have Turkey, who right now is lobbying for a position of power with the USA, Trump. And if he does not get that, he's going to end up in a betrayal state too. And so we have all these nations now who are talking on back channels, heavily talking on back channels, not only talking, but they're also organizing, right? You have an Iranian influence with Syria right now in training,
Mm-hmm. Yep, we do.
okay? You have Israel, who is, it seems like no new thing is happening right now with Israel as far as the war is concerned.
Right.
But even they have noticed houses going up where they shouldn't go up, right? Families moving in, influential families moving into places with armies surrounding them where they shouldn't be, right? They're starting to notice this. And all these folks are communicating, which means we're going to see a consolidation of military power here shortly in the Middle East against the West.
Yes, in other words, some of the nations who have been enemies with each other over the Shiite Sunni divide are going to start building coalitions with Israel being the prime target and America being big Satan.
They're going to hit us both at one time, right? They can never hit Israel by itself because of us, right? We can't permit that. So what they have to do is we have to be on fire first. Now, I'm going to say this so clear. They want us to burn first. Burn.
Yeah, they do.
Okay? Then they'll hit Israel. And according to the word of God, we know that something similar to that will take place. As a purging, of course, in God's eyes, but it will take place.
Are you worried about another 9/11 attempt?
I think 9/11 was minor. I do. I think what's coming is beyond the scope of any of our imaginations. You have to think of it. Look at the weapons that are in the field right now. You have chemical biological weapons, which nobody is talking about, right? You have weapons with the potential to contaminate the entire earth in less than 32 hours, right?
Oh.
You have chemical weapons that can take out a city with no mitigation strategy that can be employed to stop it. Actually, it could take out most of the cities in the U.S. in a place like the USA in less than 24 hours, right? You have all these things that are available.
Is it some type of germ warfare or chemical
and biological warfare? Chemical warfare can affect us in a very short time. Biological warfare could take out, it can pinpoint certain types of DNA all over the globe and take them out in less than about a week. And there goes you can actually destroy people based on their DNA. You don't think they've worked on that?
Oh, I know
they have delivery systems. I mean, Iran just launched more vehicles into space, right? You have China. They have the same capabilities that SpaceX has, right? Reusable launch vehicles. Mind you, they've been working on that for side by side with America for a long time, and people are just now finding out. So it's public knowledge. Nobody gets in trouble for saying that, but that was under wraps for a while because they never wanted people to know that China was neck and neck with the USA.
They don't want that revealed.
And on this show, I used to always say, don't underestimate China.
Right.
China in some areas is ahead of the USA. That's why you'll hear President Trump, he'll talk about AI and say we're ahead of them in AI for now, he'll say. But we have to stay on top of it because he's highly aware that China is capable, right? They can take anything we can do. They can compact it and have it deployed in less than a month. In weeks, they can do that.
Well, it don't help.
So something we work on for years, they can do it in weeks.
It don't help having guys like Eric Swalwell sleeping with the enemy over there and for 8 or 9 years. We just now taken his phone. We just now took his phone and his computer today. The FBI finally, we just take the guy's phone. I mean, he was.
You know what they found out though?
What they find?
They found out China developed its own AI outside of everybody else's, and somehow they have an advantage with their system over ours. That's scary.
That is scary.
That's scary. A compact system.
Wow.
That has the same capability, well, if not more than we do, because it uses 1/5 of the resources that we use, and it does more of a job. Think of that.
Wow. I did not know that. I didn't.
What in the world are we doing?
I don't know.
What are we doing in the USA?
I don't know what we're doing. Someone just made a great point. Feinstein's chief of staff for years was linked to the Chinese. Yeah, I know. I mean, and we could go on and on and on with these people.
We're going to find that if we continue to go on, we're going to find that for years. And we're going to find out that China is here. They've been here, right?
Yeah.
We're also there, but they've been here. You're going to find that for every single nation.
That's so true.
Every single nation.
Hey, let me ask you. Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, but what we have to do in America, if we are not going to survive without real values of faith. We're not. It's going to fall apart for us if we do not employ real values of faith.
Amen. You're right. Mike, I got to ask you a question. SpaceX Falcon 9 slammed into the moon.
Yeah.
right next to the Einstein crater.
Uh-huh.
They say this was an accident. Can you help me understand this one?
Yeah, that's the second accident they've had in the last 10 years on the moon like that, right?
But what
So
are the
that Falcon 9
odds?
is not the only one.
What are the odds? Okay, it's the second one. When was the first one?
You remember when, I guess first one was not quite an accident, but you remember during the Obama term, something crashed into the moon, right?
Yeah, I do remember
And
that.
then there was no word. A couple days after that, nobody really talked about it. Prior to that, there was another accident on the moon, and then nobody talked about that, right? So these are strategic sites you can see. But that goes into something a whole lot deeper.
Do
There's still some unknown elements that humanity is dealing with.
do we have
Unknown
bases? Do we
elements.
have military bases on the moon?
Well, according to some people, we do.
Okay, I won't go. I won't go any further. But yeah, it's a sort. According.
Because well, think of it this way: if somebody came out and said, "Yes, we have a couple of bases on the moon," right?
Yep.
Then you get into the prove it ideology, and then we go down this rabbit hole of could not be, and you can't really get a hold of anything yet,
No.
right?
No.
So nothing, no proof. Now, when they release, if hypothetically they were to allow any proof to be seen by anybody, that'd be a different story,
But
right?
not
Then
yet.
everything changes.
Yeah.
So, but that's a conversation you have to have some sort of concrete things. That's a far out subject that yeah, you
Yeah.
need some
Maybe.
real proof for that.
Maybe just maybe not touch that one. Well, okay. So let me. So as we climbed into space, I'm going to go back to that because you've mentioned China, and other nations. And when I was thinking about, I saw the crater, what's called the Einstein crater, and
Mhm.
then this new crater, which was the Falcon 9 rocket crashing into it. And they
Mhm.
said it was an accident. It got caught up in the moon's orbit and all that. But what are the
Mhm.
odds? I mean, if you were going to make a splash, no pun intended, if you were going to make a splash about your company, crash something right next to Einstein's crater. Make yours
Yeah,
bigger. I mean,
right.
I mean, but anyway, I'll digress on that.
One of the interesting parts is the crater itself, I believe. I'll
Okay.
leave it there. Look at the crater it left in comparison to the craters that are already there.
Yes.
Now, that's a more interesting
How did it
thought.
leave?
That's a more interesting
It
thought.
is. I got.
Because a crater, if a crater was, craters are supposed to be random,
Right.
but it's a known fact that craters on the moon only go to a specific depth, right? So, given the physics of a specific depth and based on any bottom material, craters are predictable in how they will look after something slams into it, given an idea of what materials you're dealing with below the regolith. That's what makes that interesting. And it's there for the whole world to see.
Yeah.
So we'll see who sees it,
We'll
right?
see.
We'll see
That's
who
a
picks
great
that one
question.
apart.
It's a
Yeah.
great statement you're making here. Now that leads me to this incredible amount of meteorites and asteroids, and we had 81 fireballs that broke through the Earth's atmosphere last night. A lot of that we know is debris from comets and what have you
Yeah.
that come around every year. But you have talked about on this show. You have talked about a galactical plane. I believe was the term you used in
Yeah.
about 2018, and you said we are starting to inch into it. Should
Hmm.
we be watching for more meteors, more fireballs going through people's houses like we saw the other day? Is
I
there?
think that in the coming week, I believe, in the coming week and a half, that'll answer itself. I think we're going to have some random perturbers, and people will have a good idea that the heavens are not like what they used to be. They're not what they used to be.
Meaning there's a lot more debris we're running
Oh
into.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, and a couple shows, if you will. Can you imagine everybody viewing something that skips in our atmosphere and skips out, and having, and not only happen one time, but happen a few times? I think that would really get people's attention, right? Especially if NASA or JPL and all these places come back and say, well, we didn't see it. We didn't
Right.
see it. And then it'd be not something small, not some tiny thing. We're not talking about something tiny, but something huge, skipping off the atmosphere, right, that everybody can see, and then turn around maybe a week and a half later, that same thing happen again. I think that will get folks' attention,
That will.
that we are in a very unpredictable part of the, galaxy here. So yeah,
I mean,
that'll speak for itself.
yeah, that would totally do that. And I think
Yep.
that as we're watching these things develop, I mean, we've talked about it last week. We talked about it several times before about you brought out it really well about a third of the stars, a third of the moon, a third of the sun, and being blocked by some type of object
Yep.
that would do that.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
I've been hearing that there's an event coming in 2027, a major event that cannot be, you can't hide it. I mean, it can't be tucked away. Can you help me understand what is, and I don't know if it's in the heavens or it's something happening here on earth, but a 2027 event.
Here's the bad part. Here's the bad part about the heavens in 2027. Hypothetically, if we begin to have explosive events from volcanoes, our sky is going to be filled with ash.
Okay.
We're not going to have good visuals in the heavens unless you're in, the southern portion of the hemisphere. So all those down the southern portion of the hemisphere, if they're given access to the heavens, they'll be able to see, right? But other than that, we could be inundated with ash. Our sky is going to be pretty dusty by then, right?
From volcanoes?
Because of ocean-borne eruptions.
Okay.
Ocean-borne eruptions in Northern California, eruptions in the Carolinas, eruptions in other places. Yeah, geologically, you have to remember something, Fastball, in the world, so long as the threat is not imminent, right, they're going to maximize education and, resources, finances from it, right?
Yes.
But when the truth surfaces, say, for example, a layer of the earth gave way and magma started coming up and it becomes a threat, certain areas will be marked off and people won't be able to get to them, and those become danger areas, causing eruptions in places where people never expected them, right?
Wow.
I mean, never. Like New York, for
what?
example. They gave everybody a hint in New York some years back, and they said, they found a chamber of magma 3 times the size of Yellowstone right below New York, right? But they said it would be here's what they said now, this is the magic number. They said it would be 3 billion years for it to reach or breach the surface. That's what they said.
3
right?
billion years.
Yeah, that's not true, because they're dealing with issues right now, right? Heat factors that are off the scale underneath New York, and it's not caused by gas lines. So they're already dealing with that, right? All throughout the USA, they're these large chambers, but they're not telling everybody about them because some of them they don't see as imminent. So they're going to continue with the facade until they're recognized. Unfortunately, here's what I believe: there's going to be a sinkhole city-sized.
No.
That will just ruin one of these cities in the U.S. I'm going to call that a city-sized sinkhole.
Is that from
will most certainly happen. That's going to happen.
Well, what in the world? I mean, I know that the magma's rising. It's eating away at the crust of the earth, and at some point that thing collapses. Okay, the crust just gives way and lets a massive landslide downward. When you say they're going to quarantine some portions of the earth off, or I mean, what the people? I mean, you're just saying they're going to write off certain areas?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, okay. And you bring up New York. So, I mean, are you thinking that something like that is going to happen there? Is that one of the high risk areas, or is there others?
Well, New York is also a target, right? New York has many things. It's a target. It's also the seat of the Satanic Church. One of its seats are right there in New York.
You're right.
The gate of worship, they say, has been opened in New York.
Yeah.
So what's happening in New York is dark periods, bad stuff happening there. But underneath New York are massive instabilities. There are right below New York, in New Jersey and neighboring states, and in the oceans, there are instabilities that they can see there. Also, Army Corps of Engineers has been checking out some things on the East Coast period for some time now. Um, and it is just not going to hold. So if it does not hold, we continue to have these earthquakes, right? Because when was the
Yep.
last time you heard of New York having an earthquake? But they'll start having more and more and more, which will give an indication of underground instabilities. I know people look for the obvious places like Yellowstone, but I'll tell you
Right.
something. If the world knows about it, and if the world magnifies it, you can count on it not being a big nothing bomb. It's what they are not looking at, what they won't mention, what they won't cover on the Weather Channel, right? Those are the areas
Yep.
of high influence. Those are areas of high influence. Somebody asked me, they continually ask me, are you worried about Yellowstone? No, I'm not. I'm worried about Northern California. I'm worried about the Coast Plain. I'm
Let's
worried
talk
about
about that.
Mexico because those are an indication. That's
Let's
what I'm
talk
worried
about
about.
the Coast Plate because we had we had an earthquake today, 6.7.
Yep,
Look, we've had Venezuela, we've had
yep,
Colombia, and now we've
yep,
had Peru.
yep.
And Mexico's got some volatile volcanoes.
Yes, they do.
That's why you're concerned about this
Yes, I
whole
am.
West Coast. And do you
Yes, I
understand?
am.
Are you more concerned?
Yes, because all of those conditions, right? They're going to relieve or give the land a way to move that's highly irregular, causing a huge snap of the fault lines in California. Those are repercussions that nobody wants to face, but nevertheless, you can see it moving slowly but surely like clockwork. I mean, this is happening like clockwork,
Yeah.
which is why I've been following this for what 32 years now, and it's slowly but surely it's been aligning. And once that does happen, due to the breaks in the underground structure of the crust, there's no way California is not going to fall off into the ocean. Those land masses will tilt upward, right? They will break away from the bottom portions of it. And in deep in the earth, there are honeycombs. They're cavities,
Okay.
right? Those cavities. That what that simply means is that if you have a honeycombed area or cavities, then the top landmass can break away from the bottom rock strata very easily because it's not solid,
I see.
right?
I
And when it
see.
breaks away, it can easily tilt up by land moving, the plates moving, forcing the land masses upward. So what we're dealing with now is we're dealing essentially with a piece of rock called California, right?
Okay.
That is under great stress. So it's bent. You can say it's bent. It's pressured on both sides. If any of the rock, if any of the land masses to the left or right of that, for example, move, that rock is going to displace itself. It's going to snap straight up, right? So people are going to have to deal with that. When this happens too, not only will we have a problem there, but you're going to have a problem eastward. So that means the Grand Canyons will become highly unstable.
Grand
I mean, highly
Canyon
unstable.
becomes
Yes.
unstable.
The trouble in California will cause trouble all the way into the Grand Canyons and onward because we have fault lines in America. If somebody were to show the fault lines in America, I think it would be shocking to people to know that we have so many fault lines in America. We have a lot of fault lines in America. It's only by the grace of God these things have not gone off. But we have saltwater intrusion taking place,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, here's why that's significant. Saltwater intrusion takes fresh plants and things of that nature, turns it into mush, right? That mush with the root systems and all that, it disappears. So you have a slight shifting of the topsoils and the rock strata on the top of the crust. It's no longer anchored. When the anchors are missing, more exposed, the heat will you have water evacuation from those places, right? As the water leaves, it's going to leave more honeycombs. As this happens, you have a weakened structure, right? It's like taking if you were to build a house that were mainly made out of windows, and you take all the windows out, all you have is a frame left. So it's not going to take much to damage that house, right?
Yeah, I see.
Water is the same way.
So,
Water under pressure
yeah.
is just like rock or steel. water under pressure is. It's just like rock or steel. But if that water goes away, the structure is weakened. So then anything can cause it to give way, collapse, what have you. And it just so happens we've had this process happening for a long time, which means we have huge evacuation points, not caused by oil being taken out. I'm not talking about that, but huge evacuation points
Because of
that are
water.
simply opening up. They've been opening up because water is leaving.
Yes.
Water's leaving.
Mike,
Despite the floods,
yeah.
water's leaving.
Indiana. Let's talk about Indiana. This is a 1 in 1,000 year flood. Indianapolis, Indiana. Unbelievable. Is this part of the water events that you see coming? At the same time, the Colorado River, Lake Mead, these are drastically low. Matter of fact, to the point that the hydro electric system, maybe if it goes 30 more feet, they say it's going to literally have to shut it off, which produces enough electricity for about 40 million people. Lake Powell and Lake Mead along the Colorado River. But Indianapolis is underwater. I mean, is this what you're talking about, water events?
Well, that's a good example of what weather is capable of, right?
Right.
Now imagine that 1,000-year storm. This is the second one they had in that area. But imagine that storm, Pascal, engulfing the northern hemisphere.
What? Whoa! No! Wait!
Yeah.
Whoa! You're saying just imagine the northern hemisphere underwater, Canada, Alaska.
That's right. Imagine a storm that is so vast, right? That it rains like that all throughout the northern hemisphere for a very short time, but it just starts to really cause some problems. Now then, also there's another candidate for this. We have within the earth, within the crust, ocean-sized areas of water under very high pressure,
like
right?
Aqueducts of some sort, or
well, think of it's kind of like Yellowstone. That caldera is full of magma, magma chamber, right? So you have a water chamber that's just like that. You're talking about superheated water captured in the earth.
Okay.
They found 3 of those so far. Now, let me give you the size of one of them.
Okay.
If they were to open up one of them and say all the ocean water disappeared, it would fill up the oceans again. One of them would. They found 3.
So there's more. Are you saying basically there's more water underground in these massive?
There you go.
Than there is above ground.
Yes, there is much, much, much more. But here's the problem with all the volcanism, the changes that we're undergoing. Magma is causing new ports to open up for this water to escape, and they know that eventually it's going to escape. Some of them are dangerously close to a breach. Now, this is water under extremely high pressure. This is superheated water, right? Superheated. So you're talking about water that's above, that can't go anywhere. It can be 200 degrees, 300 degrees, but the water cannot evaporate, right? Because it's under pressure. So imagine an earthquake allowing a crack to form to one of those oceans. That water would essentially evacuate that chamber in such a short time. 2 things would happen. It would fill the sky full of clouds instantly, right? Wherever it is, it would fill it up. Plus the water that cools would start to overrun the oceans instantly. So without a tsunami, without an earthquake, without an indicator, all of a sudden water will start rising all over the earth. Not slowly either. This would take place probably in about 24-hour cycle.
That's incredible.
And there would be no place on this earth that everywhere you would step, even the high mountains, would be incredibly moist, right? So you're talking about mudslides, all this, that, and the other happening all at one time.
Yeah.
And then it would suddenly go away, right? It would suddenly go
drain
away
back into the
water,
earth.
Some of it would drain, but because it's water that's been under high pressure, which is purified water, right? Much of it would remain in the clouds. Now, you'd think that type of event would cause good rain for years to come.
Yeah,
Wrong.
You would.
It would cause the event we don't want. It would actually begin to force our atmosphere, or a lot of particulates from our atmosphere, into the ionosphere, where we would lose them, which would dry out the atmosphere. If that happens, then realistically, there would be no rain for about 15 years.
That
None.
I mean this because after it inundates the sky and creates these massive clouds and it rains and rains and rains, then there's going to be a period of, okay, now no more rain,
No
or
rain.
let's say
No rain whatsoever.
scattered rain, maybe.
Not even that. Not with that much, because that's superheated. That much water, right? That those particulates will also go up into the atmosphere, right?
Oh, okay,
If
into
any
the
particulates,
atmosphere.
if
Yeah,
it forces in the lower atmosphere, it's going to push all that density up into the ionosphere
it's
and
gone
out
then.
into
It's
space.
gone then.
And so if that happens, it causes a vacuum and we lose all the moisture. So we have to go through about a 20-year cycle where it would reform again. And that just wouldn't be good. So that situation though, that's the water event. The
That's the
water
water event.
comes, then followed by absolutely nothing.
Now it doesn't
Even if it happens on a small scale, we still go through the same thing.
Now, this won't destroy the earth. I mean, God
No,
promised us He
no, it
won't do
won't.
that. But this
No,
is
it
a
won't.
cycle, a period of a cycle of time that that has to be dealt with.
Yep,
Do you
yep.
see extreme drought coming on the heels of that? Does the earth have to dry
Yeah,
out?
we could even have drought before that. That's bad news. We could have a reversal in our jet stream. Our atmosphere is at a tipping point right now. We've gone through this before where the jet stream did reverse. In fact, the dust storms, right?
Yeah.
The Great Dust Bowl
Yes.
was caused by a reversal of the jet stream. Okay, we saw a slight reversal of the jet stream a few months ago, but it corrected itself. We actually saw winds going from the east to the
To the
west, and
west.
that happened for about, I think, 3 4 days or something like that, and it started to dry out on the east coast, right?
And then
Crops are dying and everything else just like that. Things are happening. If that storm were to get larger, it would have caused a reversal of the jet stream, right? And then we would have had those high pressure systems would have moved north, which would have made that change permanent for a while. So we're going to entertain something like that again. Also, that we have that issue, which we're more than likely face in the short term. I mean, the short term, like maybe months. We don't know. It could happen in the winter months, right? We're more vulnerable during the winter time than the summertime for that. So it can absolutely happen. We also have the issue of the winter coming, the colder temperatures coming, right? That's going to bring on a set of conditions that you remember in Canada when it just froze, right?
yeah,
Canada just froze. Remember in Europe when the water fountains and the waterfalls
just
froze,
froze. I remember that
right? We're looking at that again, but far worse.
coming the next
Far,
year or two.
far, far, far. Well, no, coming this year,
This year.
2026. Yes,
So you're
we're looking at
predicting
that
a
same situation coming
cold.
this year.
Will it affect America? Are we going to see it?
Yes, it will. And the bad part is this: you'll have a deep freeze, followed by these weird warm-up periods. But the deep freeze could be so cold, Pastor Paul, right? Some of
Yeah.
these places may not have relief for some time. It may be cold enough to cause, we're going to have infrastructure problems after this winter period, right? They already had huge potholes forming this year,
Yeah.
which kind of alarmed me, right? Because I know at some point people are not going to be able to travel on the highways like they used to. But this winter coming up, it's going to be deep freezes in too many places. Europe saw temperatures they never saw before. All these nations have seen temperatures they never saw before. Winter, they're going to see temperatures they never saw before, right?
So here we are. We're having a year of amazing high, what they call a heat dome, and incredibly unseasonable heat in Europe, in Canada, in Alaska,
Yep.
out west in America. But
Yep.
now you're saying, now get ready for the other extreme,
That's right.
deep,
That's
deep,
right.
deep freeze coming.
That's right. Because it may be, here's something people want to look for. Weather, the sporadic weather we've been having, which has been quite extreme when it happens, even down to a thunderstorm, has been ruinous for a lot of people. Imagine a winter where you think you escaped much of the snow, and then in one week, everything comes in one week. Well, that's enough to undo um, just about everything, right? That's enough to really take people by storm, and that's what they have to watch for. It's not going to be like it used to, this gradual thing that people can handle. It could be good conditions, normal conditions, all the way up until, that 1 week, and then everything happens in that 1 week for a lot of people. That causes more damage than some of the more brutal winters, is when we have those conditions where people have all the effects of winter in 1 week. That causes real
Oh,
damage,
that'd be terrible.
infrastructure damage, and everything else. And that's what people have to look for this year, right? They have to look for that. And some places are simply going to have a permanent climate change, right? Their climate's not going back to what it used to be.
I mean, these are significant developments when you start talking about a deep freeze so powerful that it just changes the weather pattern. It becomes, and I would think that our infrastructure, which is quite old now, and you got these pipes that are swelling under unbelievable heat and sweating, and then all of a sudden we fall into this massive deep freeze. I
Yep.
mean, these are
Yep.
older couplings and pipes. I mean, are you worried about the water and the gas?
Oh
The
yeah, I can tell you now,
infrastructure?
they're breaking right now all over the place, everywhere, right? Um, you had last year, you had a complete gas line overhaul in this nation. We had a complete electrical system overhaul in this nation, and it's already worn out. It's already worn out,
Can
right?
these
So,
data centers? I mean, we're putting a lot of money. Where's all the money coming from to build these unbelievable large data centers
oh
by
my
the
goodness,
thou?
rant time.
Uh,
That's why I'm ranting. So we gotta. I'm gonna do something about it. You watch me. I'm gonna get
okay,
involved in that. Here's why. Here's why.
okay,
Here's why. You start going through the numbers. Now, I do this analytically, but you go through the numbers. The money they're making from these data centers, the money they're paying out, the money they're making, the money that's being bought in from these data centers, of course, by investors, could
hmm
actually pay for the utilities in every single place they exist. Now, because they're talking the talk. They're saying everything is prosperous right now, right? There's a
right.
group of people out there that will not see that prosperity, and that's what people are angry with. They're
That's
saying,
exactly right.
well, these people are doing well, but I'm still working from day to day, and I can barely make it, right?
Right,
So how do I
right.
get what they already know they can't get what they have? So the one way to do that is what? To start offsetting utilities, right? We're
Yeah.
in the future. There's no way people should pay for electricity.
But
We have,
instead, we're
you know what?
paying
AI,
triple.
Pastor Paul, AI is evolved enough where it can manage a facility for water and electricity. Those should not be utilities that people pay for, right? They should not. People shouldn't have to
I
pay for that.
agree.
Or certainly not the amount that they pay. I agree that everybody should have an account. Everybody should be held to accountability of the usage of that, but nobody should have to pay for
No,
it,
and it's
right?
triple. It's
I've gone through
triple
the
what it
numbers.
was.
The data centers are bringing in enough money they can pay for the utilities of the places where they are. Now, that's a fact.
But they're
That
not doing
means
it. It's not
they could,
happening.
because people are greedy.
I
They're
know.
greedy.
I
And
know.
guess who's greedy? The people who are already making 200,000 and up per year.
Right.
Those are the ones that benefit from this prosperity, and nobody else does. The majority of this country is not making
No, our
200,000. You're talking
homeless
about
our
is bad.
our
And I
homeless
think this is
community is exploding in this nation. I mean,
well, it's bad.
exploding.
It's bad. And something, it's it's terrible.
It is
It's gut
terrible.
wrenching is what it is. It's gut wrenching. And that divide is getting wider, right? It's just getting
Well,
wider.
that's what's
And
creating a populace, an angry populace,
that's why
which
that's why they're going to, things like this new Democratic thing they have going on, the
yeah,
SC,
yeah.
right? That's why they're calling for that, so they can at least afford something. They can't afford anything under the current system of values. And so somebody has to take a serious look at that and change it, because the rich are getting that. That's my number one complaint here, is that we've gone the wrong direction completely. And if it continues to go too far, it does not matter if the overall strategy is for everybody to prosper. It's going to be, people are being broken by this.
The
Their homes are
immediate
being broken.
crisis. The
That's
immediate
right.
crisis. Yes.
They're being broken, and they can do something about it right now if they want to. But it will start with utilities. They have to put a. They have to. They're going to have to at least slash the price of utilities in half. If they could allow people to keep their money, right? I guarantee the tone all over the nation would change.
Absolutely. If
And they can do
the
it. They can do it.
if the utility cost, which has tripled in the last let's say 5-6 years,
Mhm.
tripled, if it was all of a sudden slashed by 2/3, and people could would not have to pay this exorbitant prices, then all of a sudden there would be a major shift in the attitude of the nation. There would be a major shift in
They
the
would.
attitude. But as long as it's being ignored and or nobody's picking up
They're going to be
and you're
consequences.
saying the data center revenue is already enough to do it.
Yes, it is. Listen, they could do. I'm telling you right now, they have the electrical generation system is so refined, right? They could cut everybody's bill by half, still be profitable,
Yep.
right? They
Yep.
could still, but what they're doing is this: that every single week they're amassing billions of dollars, and they're putting that back into themselves. It's
Yeah.
not like they're investing all that money into research and development for more refined systems. They're not. They're using old systems, and they're just living better off this, moving their assets to other nations. What is that about?
This is
The rich are moving their assets to different nations, not the USA. What is that about?
Well, that's the bring down and meltdown and the takedown of America. That's exactly what that will
But
lead
you see
to.
what's these people. But and it here's the sickening part. It people have to people have to step in at some point and say no, we can't do this.
Yeah.
We can't do this.
Well, that's what's
And
going to
the
happen.
government's not going to do it. The corporate world is going to have to do it, right?
Yep.
Like Elon Musk, he doesn't like waste. This is
No.
going to cause more waste than he ever thought possible, because what
Yep.
this will do is disenfranchise the majority of the people in the USA. They're going to hate government so bad they're not going to allow government. And then you're going to see a dark world that nobody expected.
It'll be a
And
breakdown
we're
of our
headed in that direction.
society. You're
It's
exactly
going to
right.
happen. It's already happening right now. It's already, because 70% of the populace has changed their mind right now politically. That is not a good number. That's a
not
real
a good
number.
number.
You even have young conservatives, right? They support government-run grocery stores.
Yeah. And
That's a fact too.
and you know that won't work at some point. So people are going to take matters into their own hands, is
Yes,
what
they
you're
are.
saying, and that is a recipe for a disaster. And we've seen societies do this in the past. We watched the Soviet Union, and we saw how they had empty shelves after a while. We've seen it in Venezuela. We see that when you go to a super socialistic, communistic society, that it ultimately the system breaks down. And at some point, though, people do it because they have no other choice.
Yep,
That's your whole point.
To death if
Yep.
they don't do it.
They don't do it.
Yep.
So here we go. They eat their own seed because at some point they have no other choice.
That's right. And it's really hurting people right now.
Yes,
so
it
somebody
is.
has to stand up and do something.
Amen.
Yeah, I believe that the Christian community can make a big difference in this.
Yeah.
All they have to do is Christians have to stand. We can't be afraid. I believe that 2026 is the last call for Christians.
This is
right.
If
we get it wrong, right, then we are the ones who allowed 2027 to be so dark. And believe me, it's going to start immediately in January 2027 when the laws change.
Folks, you hear what Mike is saying. Things are shifting quickly, and it's really following a prophetic timeline. And again, folks, it's time we need a wake up. We need a revival. We need a wake up, a real world wake up of what's taking place. And there's no doubt about that. Mike, you threw a ton of stuff against the wall, and a lot of it, if not all of it, is sticking. Are you serious?
Yeah. Pastor Paul, it's always an honor to be here with you.
The honor's mine,
Always.
Mike. Thank you so much. I mean, I'm the jet streams and the meteorites and the water events and everything happening economically. I mean, all of this is coming to a head. Oh, how we need to pray. Mike, thank you for being with us tonight.
God bless you, Basketball. It's an honor.
God bless you. The honor's mine.
All right.